Hello and welcome to Tea Talk. Oh, that was a nice sound.
That was a nice sound.
So hello, and this is Tea Talk, where I talk to other YouTubers about their mental health and what mental health means to them. So today I have Mattie with me.
Hi.
And we are gonna talk about something that is gonna be playing on our minds in our future, and it's the idea of getting employed and how it affects our mental health.
Mine is slowly degrading.
So you're graduating this year.
Sadly, yes.
I hate to remind you, I'm graduating this year. We now have to think about employability. We have to think about work. And we talked about this before and how it's like really like hard.
Yeah. Like we talked about this before the video and it was just like, we essentially came to the conclusion that like, it's gonna be a struggle, it's gonna be difficult, it's gonna be everything that we probably hate because of the fact that it's like going to be so strenuous. But at the same time, yeah.
It is probably at the same time, and there's also this like having to jump through hoops to get what you want.
Yeah,
Almost.
I mean, I didn't study for the circus. I
No,
didn't study for
none
the
of
circus.
us did. I mean, theatre degree. Like,
I studied for journalism and media, and apparently no one who's employing wants that skill set. But I think a lot of the stress is definitely going to be coming from the fact that like employers themselves are not like. It's difficult because like when the employer's not certain of like what they want, it's going to be like more stressful for you because you don't know what you want and like what job you can do, and employers don't point you in the right direction.
That is so true. I mean, I know that I come from a place where I just haven't actively sought for work, and when I have, it's always been negative. Like you go back, or you didn't like pass the Tesco test on the internet, you know? We got to that
Those
point.
tragic Tesco tests where it's like, we're going to test your numeracy and your literacy and your general personality, and you failed the numeracy, and it's like, damn. And like, employers expect you to know everything and to be experienced in everything, but will not tell you what they want experience in, or like what they want ultimately in terms of like university leavers. So like for me, I've just come out of like a major in journalism and media. I have minors in like creative strategy, social media management, and events and editing things. That's all my minors. That's all what I have my professional experience for. But I go to an employer and they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have the like professional experience we want. Well then why didn't you tell me the professional experience you wanted, Brenda? I'm over here having a panic attack, Sarah. I want some clarity, Louise St. Clair.
It's so true though. And it's that catch-22. Oh, I want experience from you, but you want me to have experience already, but I can't have that experience unless you give me that experience. So what the fuck are you doing?
And it's like, and then it's like they expect, like this thing, I haven't, like for the past like 2 weeks when I've been applying for jobs, I haven't put that I have mental health problems. Because of the fact that like I originally put it down and they like fast tracked my interview and everything, and I was like, but I mean, I want that. Trust me, I want that, but I want that because of my skills and my experience, not because of my mental health.
That's another thing as well, like talking about like mental health. Do you put it on your CV? Do you put it when you are like applying for a job, or is there that in the hopes that maybe, you know, they might be a more liberal, fair company, or is it the stigma from outside or in the company or in the workspace that you go, I don't know if I should put this on my CV or anything, just in case they go, oh, you have a mental health issue, and they stigmatize you because you have this mental health issue.
This is the thing that I found with one employer that I went for, was that I had withdrawn that like I had mental health problems, and then they basically said, oh well, like because of your mental health we don't think you have the right work ethic.
What?
I was like, hang on a minute. My mental health does not dictate my work ethic, for starters. I'm actually very productive, I'm very like hardworking, and I know what I want to do. And I'm very resilient and adaptable in that I can learn very, very quickly new skills, which always annoys me when they then go like, oh, because of your mental health. I'm like,
no, just hatred.
No, there's something going on, because I'm like, if you are like really saying to someone who has mental health issues that like, oh, it affects their ability to work or their work ethic, yes, I will have days where I do not feel 100%, or I might need a day off, but that doesn't stop me from doing work. It just means I have to go at my own pace. And I think employers are like really skeptical of hiring people with mental health because of the fact that like they see that mental health is something of like being lazy, and like, you know, a lot of the stigma, like,
yeah, a lot of like you're being lazy, or you're just being dramatic, or oh, why don't you just go out in the sun for a few hours,
or go walk in the forest. I mean, I love me a walk in the forest, but it doesn't cure me.
It doesn't cure.
It clears
the
my
anxiety.
mind. It clears my mind, and it makes me appreciate nature, but it doesn't like cure my mental health.
It doesn't like cure mine either. It just helps it ease a bit when looking for work. And I notice that like when it comes back, I don't know, there's like this added pressure, perhaps like pressure from like families. For me, I've had this built up pressure that my parents are like desperate for me to look out and seek for a job, and then
same. I actually had a conversation with my mum about this last night, and it was really deep felt, because I was just there like talking about a lot of the pressures that like I'm under, especially since I'm the first in my family in terms of like between me and my sister to go to university. My sister has a job though, and that's the thing I think that frustrates me a bit, is that I absolutely love my sister. She's worked hard to get where she wants to be, and I'm kind of just there like putting in that extra effort and everything to succeed. But I'm not getting that same level of kind of like employability options, because I've decided to dedicate 3 years of my life in a subject that I'm passionate about, that I can work freelance in, but I don't want to work freelance because I know that like my mental health will get in the way with that. I want a secure position, and I think that's what companies don't understand, is people with mental health, when they go for these jobs, they're going for these jobs because they're ultimately like a kind of lifeline, because they know that they'll be secure and they'll be supported, and that's all people with like mental health when they're at work want.
we do, like, I'm sure like as a company, like you should, I'm assuming, like have like a counsellor or a psychotherapist or a therapist on hand for those times where it's not just anyone, like not just a person that has been diagnosed with a mental health, but like anyone that's having like a really hard time like working and stuff, and they need to go and they need to have that support and find that support somewhere. And that is really true. I don't know, I think it's like my own like brain telling me that I need to get a job, and I need to get a job, and my parents, they must be thinking it, that I need to
but
get
it's also the
job.
added pressure of society, because like
that like society like deems you to get a job, so then every time that I go for a job and it got like turned down, my brain like got a little bit more anxious and a little bit more like, oh no, like I've like brought dishonor on my family.
I have brought the dishonors.
And it's that, but then when talking to my parents over Christmas, they were like, hey, no, like, it's okay, but that probably came more out of like, we know you tried.
This is the thing, it's like, I know obviously my family don't mean to put pressure on me and everything, and they want what's best for me, but at the same time, it can be very pressurizing, because you're there like, I don't want to be living like off my family for like, you know, the rest of my life, or like for a while. I want to be working. I think that's actually the ignorant thing with employers, is that they just see someone that like, they just see a CV, they don't see a person. They don't look behind the paper and be like, you know, because like, this is the problem I think with employers, is that they go off what's on, they say that they want these things, and then someone like myself, like I applied for a creative producer, like junior creative producer position, which was like an entry level. They were like, oh, we want someone who's experienced in videography and editing and stuff like that. Now, I might not have like the professional experience to back that up, but I can back that up with my portfolios that I've made at uni and stuff like that. And it just frustrates me. And I actually had a breakdown actually at the middle of May, like this month, because I was just there like nowhere's hiring. And I know it was only 2 weeks into like my job search here in London, but it was just like, it was like that naivety of me coming into like straight out of like university, because it had been 2 weeks since I basically had finished, and thinking like I can get a job, you know, because I've got all these credentials and skills. There was nothing, and most people were just like, they didn't want to train me or anything, or didn't send me like even a thing saying like, oh, you haven't got the job or anything. So I was just there like panicking. Like we discussed like how, like, do I start looking for another job or anything.
Do I start looking for another job because they haven't come back to me? But then if they do come back to me, then what do I do with this other job? Or like, do I just wait for them on the other end of the line? What do I do?
But it doesn't take that long to say, oh, you haven't got the job. Or,
I
like,
think
the
it
position.
is. I know, we talk about this with like my parents a lot, and they're like, oh, it's just like, I know I can blame it on the way that society's run. I could blame it on like, now they're just like really busy and it's just the way it is. But I think it's just, I don't know, it's probably goes, it's common courtesy.
Yeah.
You know, to just say, hey, it was really nice to see you, but you didn't get the job, or you did get the job. Either makes you panic, or it just sends you into like your own like personal like mental health place. And sometimes the way we deal with it probably like isn't the best way, but it's the only way that we have.
Yeah, it's the only way we know.
At your GCSEs, like at your like most, you have like, they go, we want you to decide then and there in your A levels what you're going to do, because it's going to determine who you are.
Without actually like developing the skills of what you want to do, or teaching you how to do most stuff in society, like paying tax. I don't know how to pay tax.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as a kid. I was like, why don't I do all the things like a bank account, paying tax? I don't know, Pythagoras ain't going to teach me anything. How do we deal with this in a safe, in a sort of like...
in a sane way.
More like a safe way, more like, because we have maybe, because of the way that society like treats us and the way that, you know, like employability is and how it is being treated, we might not have like the best coping strategies. So like what is very beneficial?
I think the going forward in the future, I think it's going to be very difficult, because it's difficult to change your coping strategies when people aren't, like employers aren't willing to change how they go about hiring people, and the fact that it's just very much like, I think it's just that we have to learn to deal with it in our own way that isn't harmful to us or others. It's very difficult to say like how to do it in the future, because without like a change, we don't know.
We won't know unless they change themselves. I suppose it's like trying to arm yourself and sort of accepting that there will be like major people who will keep churning out no, and then you will get one. I suppose it's just a case of sort of finding what works for you under times of stress, I think. I mean, there's not like one way that one size fits all when it comes to mental health.
Especially with my fat ass.
I know, honey, you
honey.
like, it's beautiful the way you are, girl. And I suppose for me at the moment, in terms of like dealing with it all, it's just trying to get out of here and walk and run and do just like that sort of stuff. And I know it, you know, it's not like it's the magical cure that will suddenly cure you of all your mental health illnesses, you know? It's not that type of cure.
It's not that.
It's not that cure. Or maybe it's like even like taking medication if you need it for like depression and anxiety, because you should never like feel stigmatized or feel like that is a stigma for you, you know? If you're gonna take it, you and it helps you, you take it. But I suppose it's until we really know how to sort it out, then we just have to do it in ways such as that. So thank you, Matty, for coming on this channel. And we will, at the end of this end card, leave his channel should you so wish to check him out. We also will have the playlist of Tea Talk if you've missed up on any other episodes of Tea Talk and would like to catch up. And as always, I will see you in the next episode of Tea Talk.